Howdy folks, Nathan Adlin here, coming at you from Moab, Utah. This is Walker's Drug Parking Lot, and this is where a lot of Jeeps are being displayed. Here's the best part. A lot of these are prototypes and concepts that Roman and I had a chance to drive recently. As a matter of fact, if you go to TFL Car, you'll see them on YouTube right now. Specifically, this one. This is the Quicksand. Basically, a hot rod mixed with a Jeep. Yes, those are real velocity stacks. And we got to drive it, and it was freaking awesome. This is an amazing vehicle to drive, even though it is completely and utterly useless. And we're going to move on and quickly go through these. But I wanted to remind you guys that, once again, these videos are actually live. At least this one is. And other ones will be live soon.
May I ask how the sound is?
Oh, by the way, guys, if you're listening to this right now, please tell us how the sound is. We don't know if it's fuzzy or not. And if it is, please let us know right away so we can fix it while we're doing the live broadcast. Come on, let's check these out. Now, this concept, and yes, it's a concept, is called the Grand One. Basically, they were celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Grand Cherokee. And this is what they came up with. They bought this off Craigslist. It's a 93. Or it's, yeah, 93, right?
Yeah, 93.
Yeah. And they had to change it. They actually had to lengthen the wheelbase in order to cut the wheel wells out in order to put larger tires underneath it. They updated the axles and they refreshed the engine and they changed a few things on the interior, and it made a lot of rubbing noises when we were driving it, but it was fun. Oh, I'm sorry guys. Now this one you might recognize. This is the CJ66, and this was at the SEMA show. And it's basically three different Jeeps in one. It definitely incorporates a lot of the stuff from modern day, including a Hemi, and then it has an older platform, and obviously it is, well, something that will never be built. But look at the front end, because I think that's something that might actually be showing up with aftermarket components soon.
Hey Nathan, before we show them the rest of the Jeeps, let's show them the one that we're going to go live at 11.
That's right. So coming up at 11 o'clock, we're going to go live with this unveiling, and this is the Jeep Trackhawk. I'm sure you've heard about it. Can't give you any numbers on it quite yet, but when they do the unveiling, they'll be doing it simultaneously in New York. And that unveiling and this unveiling will show you a very powerful all-wheel drive Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, we're going to be live in about an hour when they unveil this. We're going to do a complete walk around. So be sure to come back in about an hour for this one. But Nathan, there's a special guest that we have here.
Yes, there is a special guest. Check this out. We wanted to talk to someone like the real people who are here, not the guys who built $150,000 Jeeps, because they're everywhere. It's almost a dime a dozen. What we wanted to cover were some of the people who had some really novel ways of tackling Jeep issues, and we happened to find one. Wow, when I think Jeep, I think Katy Perry, don't you guys?
Yeah, I know. There's so much music.
The music is painful. There we go. Now here's the Illuminator. We actually had a chance to do a live broadcast of this vehicle, and it was utterly fantastic in terms of a test bed for lighting technology. But this is what we wanted to show you, and this is the gentleman we wanted to introduce you to.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, now I want you to introduce yourself and then introduce your truck, would you?
Sure, my name is Craig Schluter, and this is my 2011 Jeep Liberty.
It's not exactly a normal Jeep Liberty, is it?
No, most Jeep Liberties were probably used for rental car purposes most of the time, and this one here has been modified with a 3-inch Oldman emu lift at the helm, front bumper, a roll-out roof rack, and some LEDs. I've got about 12 LEDs. I can't compete quite with this guy next to me here. I thought I had a lot of LEDs, but I should have parked next to a different vehicle, I guess, if I wanted to look super cool with those. But do have the ability to light up left, right, rear, everywhere else.
Well, let's start with the bumper, and also your design motif is really cool because you're using a lot of the orange accents, and including this darker part of the hood to make it look like a Trackhawk, or sorry, a Trailhawk version of a Liberty, which never existed.
I figured if Jeep didn't do it, I'd do it myself. You know, take care of it. So.
Love that attitude. Now this bumper is fantastic. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. A guy named Morgan at the Helm Fabrication put it together, and basically he did it to custom exactly what I wanted with the 2 pre-runner loops. Went ahead and added the orange shackles to match, and then I've got LEDs in there as well to give me some extra illumination down the road.
Yeah, it's a really clean job.
But you're doing this not just obviously for the Jeep, right? There's a better reason and a bigger reason for that. Tell us about that.
Sure. I mean, I just, my family and I, we love getting outdoors and enjoying things, and my daughter has always been into the ability to make things exactly what you want. And when I first got this Jeep, I kind of sketched out what I'd like it to look like someday. And since then, I've just slowly but surely added piece by piece by piece. And I got kind of pushed a little faster this year because my wife surprised me with reservations to the Easter Jeep Safari, and she had secretly manipulated my schedule with my boss. And all of a sudden she's like, by the way, we're going to Easter Jeep Safari. And I'm like, but the lift and all the other things. I hadn't got any of that stuff done. So I had to work a little extra overtime to make that all happen, to get all this put together. And worked really hard to get almost all the details. I couldn't get quite everything done, but I did quite a bit and made sure it was ready to go for Easter Jeep Safari.
Did you take it off-road?
We took it on fins and things yesterday. We were going to do Hell's Revenge probably tomorrow. And it's performed great. I mean, a lot of the guys with the big Wranglers are kind of looking like, I think they look kind of like, I got to see this. There's some carnage coming. They're waiting to see, but we've disappointed them by making it up the trail with no problems.
Isn't that the coolest thing ever? And then some of those guys have like $100,000 Jeep Wranglers and whatever, and it's just like, yeah, I'm going to do that too.
But I've had that disappointment on some trails before where I get up and then I find a Civic, up the trail. I think, wow, we couldn't have done this without a Jeep, and then it's like, how did this guy get up here? This doesn't make any sense. But
there's probably a lot of trail damage.
Yeah, exactly. It's a rental, I think, or lease, one of the two.
Well, thank you. Keep going.
Let's quickly just look at the switches inside. It's just because that's a quick custom thing too.
Sure. So I bought the switch panel, and I actually never dreamed I would use all 6 switches, but the other day I just put the last one on there. It's kind of ridiculous, but I'm a paramedic. I'm used to being in an ambulance, and in an ambulance you've got the ability to see left, right, front, everywhere when you pull up on a scene. So I have the same thing. I have daytime running lights. I have left, right, front bumper, or the roof, rear lights, and the bumper LEDs. So quite the pile of LEDs, and was able to do those at a pretty affordable way too. So
I really appreciate taking time out of your day to show us
no
this.
problem,
This is so freaking cool because nobody ever does anything like this.
Sure.
I mean, and what's cool is that this is stuff you can actually buy. The Old Man Emu lift is, you just go online and buy it.
Sure.
And there are a lot of guys out there who have Liberties who actually do off-road with them and really want to find stuff that they can do something with,
Well, and Jeep does these concepts every year, and they're really cool, and I think they're inspirational. And I like to take a few of the accents. They did one a few years ago called the Trail Carver, I think it was. It was a Cherokee after the first year it came out. And that was one of the things I used, a few bits and pieces from different things. But I think if people can take these concepts and there's so many cool little things you can add on and just make your vehicle your own,
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. We
Absolutely.
really
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it.
I appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
Nathan, why don't you show this one?
Oh, yeah.
A little farther back from you.
Yeah, there we go. How's that?
Yeah, that's good. A little farther from your mouth.
There you go. How's that? 6 inches. All righty. Cool, guys. Check this out. Now, this is actually a very special Jeep. We did a video on this as well. It's already up on TFL Car. And what makes this Jeep pretty interesting is that, unlike a lot of the other ones, they actually built this on the production line while production was happening. And you have to understand that causes a major disruption.
Let's go on this way because I'm shooting into the sun.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I don't want to.
Sorry, thanks.
So you were saying it was built on the production line?
Yeah, it's built on the production line. You'll have to watch the video to really get the full gist of what was going on, because I believe we interviewed the head of Jeep Design, Mark Allen, about this one, and it's special to his heart. But among other things, it really does recall the original Willys. And I mean, look at it. It looks absolutely like it could have been fighting in World War II, and I especially like the tire and wheel setup. And they love driving it around. There's no weight to it. They've taken everything off of it, and it's almost like a sports car, but with really narrow tires.
Go next door. Look what's next door.
Oh, here we go.
Trailpass.
Now, we drove this as well. This is the Trailpass. Now, here's an interesting thing. I haven't had a chance to drive the Compass until yesterday. The day before that, I drove this. Now, this is the first new Compass that I drove. And if you notice, yes, it is lifted. It's about 1.5 inch lift. And it was actually really drivable. Tires are pretty aggressive. I'm not so thrilled about the knockoff tracks up there. But the whole point of this is things that you can do with it, with aftermarket goodies. And yeah, with that lift, it was going off for a great. It has some updated graphics and some other things, but once again, this is something that kind of gives you a tease of what could happen. So it's not so much a concept as it is a test bed of possibly future tech, right?
We'll have a video up on TFL Car where we drive it.
Yeah, that video should be up pretty soon.
Yeah, as soon as we can edit it. Well, let's show them some more Jeeps here.
Yeah. Now this one comes from a couple years back. This was their Grand Cherokee, which had 3 things going for it: diesel engine, much larger tires, a lift, and that up there, which was the it's a 2-person bed / tent. Not a big fan of that personally because I think it makes the top a little too heavy, but it looks really good on this. Paint matches and everything else. I really like this setup though. It's a little bit more aggressive than the new Trailhawk version of this. It's something that I think could be done, and if I owned one of these, I'd really try to make it look like that.
Well, let's go in the Jeep area, Nathan, and show them some more. Now they've turned some of the music down, which is a little...
Thank God they turned that god-awful music down.
Look at this one, because this one's very special.
This is a very special one. There are a couple things about this that you guys need to know. First of all, this is the Safari. And one of the reasons why it gets its name is because of these vinyl components here where it's all clear. You can see the outside, so if you're going on a Safari, you can see animals and still have a little bit of a separation. But that's not the big deal.
We think.
This is.
We think, yeah.
Okay, Wrangler guys, what's different here? Look at that grille. Now, first of all, it's not flat. It is at an angle. Second of all, look at the way this comes in. I think what we're looking at is the
2018 Jeep Wrangler.
2018 Jeep Wrangler grille. Sorry.
Yeah, I think this is a good indication of what the next 2018 Jeep Wrangler will look like. Now, Mark Allen, who we also did a video on this with, you actually did this, and me and you got to drive it. He said that this was a Jeep where he wanted it for the people in the back seat, right? So the back seats are kind of cantilevered.
Yeah,
for the door.
They come out of a Fiat 500 Abarth.
Yeah.
No, seriously, they do.
And there's a drone on the roof.
Yeah, it's a mock-up drone on the roof. And the whole point of this was kind of like, it's a really clean technical vehicle. Look at it like an iPod almost, something that you show off and it looks really cool and you clean meticulously after you go off-road. So this could be the new grille off of the JL, which, well, hopefully we'll be seeing soon.
Yeah, we're having issues with the volume, Nathan, now because now I turned it down because of all the music, and they turned the music down finally.
Yeah,
so I just turned the volume up, so hopefully the volume is just.
How are we doing out there, guys? Someone give us feedback on our volume.
Yeah. And the other thing about this Jeep is Mark said that this was a Jeep he built for his future customers, so the people that are in the back seat can see. And let's go show them the roof. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
The roof and then the back seat.
Yeah.
First of all, the look at the seats back here. They are there's. Notice how they're aimed slightly outward? Well, that was done on purpose, and it wasn't because of packaging limitations. So people who are in the back could actually have a better view of lines that they're running over and whatnot. And as you can see, these windows do unzip and roll down, so to speak. But they've lightened the vehicle, too. This is something Mark Allen really likes to do. He likes to lighten vehicles. All of this is aluminum up here, and you can see the drone probably from.
And that is actually a concept. It's not a real drone, it's a fake drone. Because I took it off, I figured, well, let's try to fly it, and no, it's not a real drone. I was talking to Mark Allen at a dinner, and he said the drone was actually designed by them in-house, and that it was an intern he gave that project to. He got to design the drone.
Pretty cool when you think about it, and actually it's a pretty cool looking design. And, oh, by the way, the steering wheel horn, which we were curious about earlier, it turns out that that's also from a Fiat 500.
Well, let's talk about this bad boy.
Okay, here's the Switchback.
Yeah.
Now, I got a chance to drive this one, and this is more of a test bed of modern components that are mostly available or will be available or are being tested for upcoming Wranglers. Now, the top is the one thing I really loved about it because, well, I used to own a first-generation Land Rover Discovery, which had the Safari top windows, just like these. And that's pretty cool. If you point the camera inside, you'll see how much light's being let in. This is not a production top. This is one of those things where they're testing it out, getting customer reaction on it, and whether or not it's something that they'll do in the future.
Yeah, it's kind of a design analysis for Jeep Performance parts. So some of the parts actually you can buy today from Jeep Performance, and some, like these doors, aren't available, but they're thinking that they might want to make them. So they're trying to figure out how people will actually take to them.
Now, I was told by the designers that this is actually just a Jeep door, and they hollowed it out, removed the glass, put this in here to kind of clean it up, but it is not currently available for Mopar or Jeep Performance parts. However, it is something that a lot of guys who like to do their own fabrication could do.
Now, I was going to say the front bumper is available, though. That's a Hard Rock bumper.
Yes, it is, and you can see that they've taken the option to remove this section of the bumper right here.
And you were going to talk about...
The roof rack. This is a double roof rack up here. This is not in production. However, this is something that could see production. If you look at the way they've designed it and everything else, including these little components, it looks like something that you could probably get soon. So I would imagine this could see the light of day. All right, let's move on.
What's your favorite? It's right there, right, Nathan?
Oh, God, without a doubt.
Let's do a little interior walk around of the Quicksand because it is so cool on the inside.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. There's a very important switch that Roman and I immediately discovered, and you should be able to see it. It has loud and obnoxious. My favorite two words. Basically, when you flip it to loud, you're running the pipes out the rear, and they're fairly quiet by comparison. You switch it to obnoxious, you go to this.
Tell them what's under the hood, dude.
Yeah, it's a 392. It's a crate engine. We think it puts out a little over 500 horsepower. Mark Allen wasn't too sure exactly what it is. If he says 500, I'm thinking closer to 6. Has a 6-speed manual transmission. I believe it's 60 rear, 44 front. And obviously you could see, I mean, these knockoffs look fantastic.
Yeah, it's the first time he's actually done a concept with wheels that are bigger on the back than in the front.
Kind of has that whole dune buggy vibe. It really does channel a few different vehicles. And I got to speak to the actual designer of this, the guy who came up with the sketches, who Mark said, make me something, and he drew it, and they worked together to create this. And he had some really funny insight about it. He basically said, you know, we weren't building anything that anybody would ever want to actually drive. And I said, dude, I want to drive it now. I want to own it. And he smiled at me. He said, yeah, there's something wrong with you. And part of the reason why is because if you look up top, Roman and I, well, if I had hair, would have had a free haircut, because when we sit in it, our heads were about here where my hand is, if you look at my hand. So these chunks of aluminum were both in front and behind our heads. So if I slammed on the accelerator or the brake, we would have had interesting haircuts or scalped.
Let's keep going, Nathan.
Come on, let's keep on going.
And we're going to probably have to wrap this up in a little bit. But let's chill with
Excuse me, yes, thanks.
Of course, what's cool here is that almost every car you see on the road is a Jeep, right, Nathan?
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Look, every car that comes by, Jeep. Of course, that Rebel 4x4
Looks
truck.
almost like a Tatra.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy Jeep.
Yeah. Oh, let's quickly talk about this right up here.
Okay, I'll follow you.
Howdy. All right. So this is a regular Jeep Compass, and what we did yesterday was Jeep brought a few different journalists, just a few, on a awesome little adventure trip driving this vehicle, and that was called Boxcar Trail. Boxcar Trail isn't that difficult for, let's say, a Wrangler, but for car-based crossover SUVs, it's actually really tough. And we made it. It was a fun thing to do, and it was a great way to test the vehicle's ability. So we learned that it can go off-road a little bit, and it actually handled okay on the road as well. It just needed more horsepower.
Can I borrow the mic, Nathan?
Yep, all yours.
Right, I'm going to go do our close here. Hello, ladies. Hi, guys. Can I ask you? This is live, yeah. Oh, now they made it louder.
Well, the alarm system on the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon is working very well this morning.
Turn that off. There you go. All right, hey guys, can I have you do me a favor? Can you guys say you saw it first on the fast lane car? Can you say that?
Yeah.
All right, you saw it first on the fast lane car.
All at the same time?
At the same time. Ready?
1, 2, 3. You saw it first on the fast lane car. Fast lane car.
Thank you guys, really
That was
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Thank you.
And
You guys are great.
You're gonna come back when?
Okay, so at 11 o'clock Mountain Time, that's when we're going to be here at the Unveil, and we'll probably start a couple minutes before they start. We'll try to get a really good position so you guys can see it live. So remember, come back here to see what we believe is the Trackhawk being unveiled.
The one with the big ass engine.
Big ass engine. Wait till you guys hear about it. We know the stats already, but we'll be able to tell you in just a little bit.
Bye.
How many?